$3 million a year. And what you say is we're going to place our faith in J.J. McCarthy. We're going to place our faith in J.J. McCarthy. Now, that makes absolutely no sense in my mind simply because J.J. McCarthy was drafted. I believe it was 10th overall. He was drafted as a rookie, and when he was drafted out of Michigan after winning a national championship, he immediately was out for the year before a game was played because he had a meniscus tear in his knee. And when that injury was suffered, okay, that's when you basically gave the realm, to Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold got at them the 14-2 record last year. Why? McCarthy hadn't performed in the NFL. He had performed in college. And why, before he took an opportunity to really, really prove himself, would you let Sam Darnold walk out the door and rely on a rookie when your wide receivers is Justin Jefferson and Addison? Let's not forget him. And Hawkinson, your tight end. When you've got those kind of weapons, you can't sit up there and rely on a rookie behind the center, which is essentially what J.J. McCarthy was. Unless he's so spectacular, it's can't miss. But the Minnesota Vikings went in a different direction, and now the Seattle Seahawks benefiting off of the superb play of a Sam Darnold who was like 29-4 over the last 2 years against everybody in the National Football League outside of the Los Angeles Rams, who he's now 2-3 against because he smoked them in the NFC Championship game by throwing for nearly 350 yards with 3 touchdowns. When you see something like that happens, you're like, how the hell they got that quarterback? How did we let that walk out the door? How did we not see that that's not a decision that we needed to make? That's why Adofo-Mensah lost his job. I don't care what anybody says. You can't make a decision like that when Justin Jefferson, an all-world receiver, is reduced to looking average because people can't get him the ball. You can't do that. But the Minnesota Vikings did it. And that's why, as a result, their GM is now out of a job. There's no way to slice it. You can look at it any other way you want to. When you got that kind of talent, you can't afford. You just cannot afford to miss out on that and to lose that. You just can't. I don't care what anybody says. That's what happened to the Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell, quarterback whisperer, let's hold off on that. He's a hell of a coach. Quarterback whisperer, let's hold off on that. At some point in time, we just got to look at things for what it's worth. And we got to understand what we're looking at here. And I look at the Minnesota Vikings because every time I think about Sam Darnold, I'm like, listen, I have my reservations about Sam Darnold. To some degree, I still do. But I got news for you. It's not going to be in favor of J.J. McCarthy. What the hell was that about? That's what we really, really have to look at. There's no way around it. You got Jordan Addison. You got Justin Jefferson. You got T.J. Hawkinson. How do you let a quarterback walk out the door for a rookie that didn't do a damn thing in the NFL yet? I was on the air months ago saying that Justin Jefferson should ask to be traded because of the stupidity of that move. But ultimately, that brings us to Sam Darnold, because when we look at Sam Darnold in this football, in this year's playoffs, and the way that he has played in a 41-6 rout of the San Francisco 49ers, in a thriller, 31-27 against the Los Angeles Rams, and what they were able to pull off, and how the way he played, you saw it, 346 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes. Sam Darnold has proven he's been able to fling the football. And if you remember, when he was a New York Jet his first 3 years, you had the GM Douglas at the time saying, it's not about him, it's about us. He could be a star in this league. It's really us and what we don't have. That's what he said about Sam Darnold. And now here the man is, in the verge of winning a Super Bowl championship. And this morning on television, I was asked the question, well, who's under the most pressure? I mean, who are we looking at in terms of producing? Is it Drake May or is it Sam Darnold? I actually said Drake May. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like the way Drake May has really, really looked during the playoffs. He's been sacked 15 times, 5 times each. The Eagles hired a new offensive coordinator. His name is Sean Mannion, former quarterback coach for the Green Bay Packers. All right? He's 33 years of age. He's coached for just 2 years. He was broken in as an offensive assistant for the Green Bay Packers in 2024 before being promoted to quarterbacks coach this past season. And obviously he's seen as somebody who's been very beneficial to Jordan Love, who completed 66% of his passes, threw for over 3,381, or actually the exact 3,381 yards, 23 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. They're giving Sean Mannion a lot of credit for that. They're saying he's a boy wonder. He's a future star to making, blah, 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 blah. Couple of questions need to be asked. Excuse me. Couple of questions. Number one, when we look at Sean Mannion, let's understand, got no issues with him. He's 33. If you show at a very young age that you're beyond just an upstart, but that you're a special, special talent that deserves the level of recognition that you're being given, more power to you. I wish him nothing but the best. My issue is not with him. My issue is with the Philadelphia Eagles. You've tried this before. 2023, Brian Johnson fired after his one season in Philadelphia. And by the way, he had the offense ranked 8th in the league, 7th in scoring. And he still lost his job. They brought in Kellen Moore, who helps them capture a Super Bowl, and then they go on. He goes on and moves on to New Orleans. So you try Kevin Patullo again in 2025. Fired after one season. Offense was ranked 24th, 19th in scoring offense. Far different from what Brian Johnson was doing in 2023. The point is, when you have these first-time coordinators, they usually haven't worked for in Philadelphia under Nick Sirianni, the head coach. So why would you do it again? Why couldn't you have gone out there and hired somebody with an extensive amount of experience that was familiar with what other teams do schematically and beyond? Why wouldn't you do that? Again, no disrespect or no putting down Sean Mannion at all, because I'm not trying to do that. I'm simply making the case. Why would you bring in another first-time coordinator with Jalen Hurts, still potentially with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Dallas Goedert, with Saquon Barkley? Why would you bring in a first-time coordinator? Don't you need somebody more experienced, Philadelphia? Especially since Nick Sirianni is more viewed as a CEO as opposed to somebody that's actually calling plays all the time, even though he calls plays sometimes but not often. Why would you do that? It makes no sense to me. But what's the bigger question is this. Why hasn't anybody seemed to want the job? Wasn't Mike McDaniel supposed to want this? Why would he choose the Chargers job over Philadelphia? If you're telling me the Southern California weather, I'm down for that. I don't rule that out at all as a possibility, and I don't blame him one bit. More power to you, my brother. But if it's football reasons, and it's purely football reasons, what makes the Los Angeles Chargers job better than the Philadelphia Eagles job as an offensive coordinator? What makes that better? What makes it better? That's what inquiring minds want to know. Sean Mannion, he's worked in the NFL under Sean McVay, under Matt LaFleur, under Zach Taylor, under Clint Kubiak, under Kevin O'Connell, under Dave Canales, under Kevin Stefanski, under Wes Phillips, under Grant Udinski. That exposure is going to help him immensely. It brings a level of credibility, probably why he got the damn job. Again, not faulting him, not questioning him at all. I'm just wondering about the Eagles and what you're doing and how wise was it to go in this direction with a first-time coordinator. That's what I'm wondering about. Like I said, inquiring minds want to know. 888 Mad Dog 6, that's 888-623-3646. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. I'm going to get into some NBA.